Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Royal Palms. Can you check out Microsoft? We can. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Sterling. Grand Rising, Christoph. Continuing in initial job screen came in higher this morning. They did. So, good morning, people on Rumble. All right. Good morning, people on X. Good morning, David Atkins. So, markets keep on climbing through. Looks like they're going to close above the 62.5. They broke above it last night with the European session. We already talked about it. Generally the best times to buy is after the U.S. close, and then sell the U.S. Open or in the morning. Uh, Good morning, John. So, what do we got going on? Are they going to pause tariffs on China another 90 days? They're going to jack the tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. But China is the biggest buyer of Russian oil, and they're going to pause the tariffs on that 90 more days? Okay. We shall see. Intel, Trump wants the CEO of Intel to step down from ties to China, so we'll see about that. Intel dropping on that news. Lilly released earnings, dropping big. So, but first things, initial jobless claims, consensus 221, prior 219, actual 226. I mean, a jump, not a huge jump. What else do we have? Non-farm productivity, preliminary numbers coming in above consensus. Continuing jobless claims, again, another jump here. This is the one that's more concerning, is people who are laid off just aren't getting jobs. So, that continues to climb. Consensus 1950, prior 1936, 1974. So, that's where we sit there. We got Bostic speaking this morning. We got wholesale inventories at 10 Eastern. We got Muselim speaking this morning. We got your 48-week bill auctions, consumer inflation expectations, and that is about it. And remember, tomorrow is virtually nothing. We've had a very quiet week. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Rick. So, good morning, John. All right. All right. So far, the map today, well, Lilly's getting hammered after earnings. Intel's down after Trump wants CEO to resign. Airbnb is also down. Uh, Fortinet is down. But other than that, you got Amazon slightly down. But we're going to Apple, they're going to invest $100 billion more. I want to know who's going to track all this investment. Do they have to give an accounting thing to the government now? I don't like the government being involved in all these. Like, all right, if you do this, we're going to give you breaks on this. If you do this, it's picking and choosing winners. I hate it on any side. We got chips up except Intel. Again, everything's continuing to run higher. The market's gone into mania mode. Again, the probabilities where we'd have a three-leg down or an ABC down, those look to be reset. We could still roll over, but it's more likely we'll remain in a range with cycles rolling over now. Is buy everything. Technology leading, basic materials and financials. Gold is up also today. The only thing negative is healthcare and utilities. Fed Watch still has the three cuts priced in this year, fear and greed. This will pop back into greed today. Schiller PE back above 38. What else? We don't have much. I mean, after the close, there's nothing. So the rest, I mean, you got what? Pinterest, Block, and tomorrow, nothing. Fubo TV. So and remember, there's nothing coming out tomorrow besides rig counts. So very quiet day. Where else do we sit? Did I say good morning to Charles? What else? Yeah, you could arrange a PTP conference and have Mike take a vacation. I need a vacation. All right. So let's look at the shorter term stuff. Market just keeps climbing, especially watch those European Opens. Wow. Closing just shy yesterday on the daily of the 62.5, and then closing above on the 4 hour. And just running higher. Already knocking off the 64.11, which is my next target. Next target is 64.40. We have returned to an area of major consolidation before Thursday, Friday's sell-off last week. Minor support, we've already tested 6,400 level. We came just above that. If we did break a below there, I'd watch the bottom of the rotation zone for another rotation back up. There are no short patterns. I'm just going to be watching for essentially pullback patterns. Pullback patterns only. And if there was any short pattern, it would just be a minor one. So we'd just be looking for pullback levels. That's really about it. Major support now on the daily is back at 63.70. 63.70. Not much else to report besides the next target being 64.40. And then you have this gap open from Monday the 28th. If we did get above 64.40, not today, but this week, my next target is 64.50, the gap reversal open. Now we can also do with climbing up here, we can do the reverse harmonics to see where it takes us. And now we have a cluster. Roughly 6,500 is the cluster. That's just the way it works out. 64.97 to 6,500. And then above that, 65.25. We got daily cycles back to the bottom and rotating up. So now we have a mismatch on cycles, weekly cycles. So we might get another bump up. We might get this is getting into, where it just gets into unstoppable mode, which generally means we'll at some point have the bigger cascade sell. I would not be shorting anything at this point. Would not be shorting anything at this point. All right. Hey, Rusty, how you doing? Good morning. Over on Rumble. All right, NASDAQ. This S&P has, because of this hitch in here, it's a lower probability of double. We can put it on. I mean, it's probably not going to trigger, but we'll see. We will see. The NASDAQ is a clean one. Again, probably will never trigger. Just wanted to get that. NASDAQ here. You do have this massive potential double top pattern. Interesting. That would be interesting because it would really take us into potentially the rotation zone, but that's a long way out from triggering. NASDAQ also closing above the 4 hour on a 4 hour basis. Looks like it's going to follow through on a daily basis. The key level I'm watching now on the NASDAQ is right here, right where we're just trading slightly above it, and I'm watching the 1 hour rotation zone. It may be making a mini double top again. Would not be shorting that. Would be looking for the pullback levels into the 1 hour rotation zone. There's just too much strength to look for anything contradictory now, unless we get massive momentum to the downside, which, again, we started Thursday, Friday, and then we got the reversal bar. This is also rare because we had a major key reversal bars. When we've had those before, they've led to the sell-off. So and historically, they are a pretty reliable sell pattern. Everything's getting overruled. And when probabilities get overruled, when it's a small probability that ends up playing out, you got to go with the strength. When patterns get invalidated, I got to go with the strength for the time being. I got to do it because, again, the market can stay like this longer than you think. Yeah, I am tired today. I am tired. Been getting very little sleep. Again, when I went out to walk the dogs at 4 a.m., it was already 91 degrees. It was 117 yesterday where I live. Going to be hotter today, setting records yesterday and today. I could not take the dogs out for their evening walk till after 9:30 last night. So, I didn't finish the walks and everything. It was not in bed till close to 11, and then I was up at 3. So, that's where we sit. I need to go on holiday. Yes, I need to. I love Germany. I'd love to go over and visit you, Christoph. I love a good Oktoberfest too. Oh boy. Why haven't you been sleeping? I just went in. It's been so hot here. Hottest start to any August on record. Hey, good morning, Heinrich. And then, wife's still, she's in Chicago working full time, so it's me, 4 dogs, taking care of everything. Would not live in this big a house by myself, and just dealing with a lot of stuff. So that's why I haven't been sleeping. But I am tired. Well, thank you, Christoph. I would love to come to Cologne. Good beer. When I used to go when I lived over in Europe to the Oktoberfest. Oh, wonderful time. Wonderful block parties too. Absolute amazing. Used to love that. So, so that's where we sit. Again, if you're, I'm watching the 1 hour rotation zone on the Nasdaq for any pullbacks in there. That's what I'm keeping an eye on. Dow, we have technically not invalidated the double yet, but it looks like it probably will be. So right now, next thing I'm looking at is 44,619. That's not the official invalidation point of the double, but it would. At this point, I'm not looking for shorts in the Dow, and 44,850 is the next key target area there. The pullback level I'm looking at we got the cross of the rotation zone with the breakout above this consolidation. See it right here. So on any pullback to kiss that goodbye would be around 44,430 to about 44,410. That's it. It broke below the trend line yesterday. Didn't get to trigger the flattened double, and then sharply reversed. Again, there are no shorts to be had right now. Russell, there still technically is a little mini double. Doubt it will trigger. More important than that, the Russell on the 4 hour basis has invalidated this double. It's going to follow through with unless something shocking happens with a close today. I'm just going to pull it off now because, again, I'm not looking for anything short. So next targets in Russell still a 2260 area, then above there about 2277. VIX, back to, again, we broke down yesterday. I was watching Tuesday's low. We broke down it, so I had to shift to bullish mode. I'm going to continue in bullish mode as long as this continues lower. The brats are the best. The brats are the best. Oh, I love a bunch of the German sausages, though. You know, there's a lot of good sausages. Patrick loves Germany. Great food. There is some great food. I know. I'm going to get some rest. I thank you, Christoph. Thank you for putting that in there. It is very important to health. I think tomorrow, mid-morning, I'm going to get a workout in, then I'm going to crash for a while. I'm going to take, tomorrow, the rest of the day off. After the live stream in mid-morning, after everything settles down in the morning, get a workout in, and then just crash. Just crash for a bit. Try to get some extra sleep this weekend. It's going to be so hot. Tomorrow's supposed to be cool. Oh, tomorrow we're only supposed to have a high of 111, 112. So, it'll be nice and cool sleeping weather. Oh boy. DAX just rocketing through. Going to close above the 62.5. It's literally buy everything in the world. This double, it's never triggered. Going to be off the table. So I'm going to clean up these harmonics and go to reverse harmonics here. Let's clean up some of these levels. So the DAX, again, back in the consult. This does not mean we necessarily have to break out. There's a lot of resistance up here in a lot of the markets. But I will stay in bullish mode until it sets up another pattern. The yields a little spike up and the sell back down yesterday. Nothing's changed. Going to be watching still for a bottoming pattern down here, but nothing yet. Crude, again, broke above Tuesday's highs very briefly. We had the EIE numbers yesterday and then dropped. Now we're into my major buy zone unless We closed below 63.96 today. If we close below there, then I will be patient because any buys could be quick rollovers. There might be a percent B buy for tomorrow. Let's see if we close below 63.96. That does not mean if we close below there, we might not have a pop. It's just, again, starting to get separation on the rotation zone. So unless something changes dramatically in the news cycle or in the Middle East, we'll still be watching for rollover plays. We are getting oversold. That's why I'm still going to potentially be watching for a pop tomorrow. It depends on where we close today. Gold continuing to climb towards the major resistance level. If it does break out, again, 34.76 is my next target. And then above there, it's the highs from April, and then 35.58. Remember, longer term, still holding the rotation zone on the weekly basis with cycles turning up. And the dollar, let me get to the dollar. The dollar broke below here. Now, it's dollar today. If it closes below 97.39, not looking for bullish setups anymore until we get a bigger drop. Okay, there could technically be a couple short plays. If that happens, I'll look for some quick short setups. But I'm still looking based off of pure lopsided fundamental and positioning. We could see still a pop in the dollar. I'll have to be patient. Although if we do not close below 62.5 and set up a percent beat buy and it does trigger, I'll still watch for that. Euro spiking above the 62.5. This has to close on a daily basis. So if this closes above 116.65 today, the remaining targets on the double are over. And I will not look for short setups, aggressive short setups anymore. I'll wait for higher price action. And I'll be looking for potential rotations back up. All right, let me get to some other stuff. Let me just, again, the spiders and Qs. Spiders, 634.11, you're opening above it. Next target, 637.28. And then the gap open reversal from last Thursday of 639.46. We can also do our reverse harmonics. And not necessarily for today, but these are, if you can't tune in the live stream for a couple days, if we do break above last Thursday's high, 642.42 is the first target. The Qs, 5, what is it? Right around 571.69. We're going to open even above the 87.5 harmonic. This thing's getting out. This is absolutely getting so much I talked about before, reminding me of .com. Just the buy everything mania. And now what is it? You can put cryptos and private equity things into your 401ks. This is going to be at some point a disaster for a lot of people. We're in full. I mean, the bigger concern to me is private equity stuff. No, for 401ks. You want to do your own investment on it? Fine. By the way, we break above Thursday's highs, 577.50 and 581. Bitcoin, we had the little mini double. This is turning into a channeling double, but we have triggered it on the 4-hour basis, so I will still watch. Especially this buy everything mania, I'm still watching for a return to the consolidation area. Not necessarily for a breakout above that, looking for a return to it. I am slightly cautious in playing this with watching for pullbacks because of the channel it's forming. Watching for some pullbacks for long positions. All right. Tesla, we had the rocket, the gamma squeeze yesterday. Being patient with this is to literally buy everything. There's a key gap left behind. I'm still watching for a fill in there. Back to 23rd at 332.56. Hold on. Let me get to some other stuff. Let me see. What do we have? I know we had Microsoft in there first. I'm trying to remember them in order. Then I'll get to things. Microsoft Again, I'm still looking, not necessarily today, but I'm looking over the next few days for this gap fill before earnings, before basing. This, we had a pretty decent topping bar. Microsoft is massively overextended. Look at this run. Does not mean, remember, it has to drop. I'm looking for a slight drop, would not be shorting it into this, but I'd be looking for that gap fill for potential long setups, which could take us closer to the rising rotation zone. All right, that's the key thing I'm looking at. We may also, if we can get some dropping out of Microsoft, we'll set up a nice percent B buy. There isn't anything yet. All right, I mean, look at this. How overbought. Something could rock this market. It's just there's no setup yet. So I mean, I'm not shorting this with Coco's money. What else? Can we look at D? At D, you just want D, Dominion Energy. This was one I was watching. I was watching this with Bob for a breakout. It broke out last Friday. Now I'm watching for a pullback buy in Dominion. As of how overextended it is, I'm looking for a pullback. Being very, very patient with this one on a pullback. But I am looking for a pullback in this. So, especially with crude, could potentially break down. I know they're not exactly related, but looking for a pullback in Dominion Energy. The key levels there, you can't even find some key. The last key targets were these harmonics. That's why I'm also being patient, because I need a pausing bar. So the last harmonics were right here. And you see we just checked them off with this key reversal candle. So watching at least in the daily rotation zone for pullbacks. CAG is being sold like it's going out of business, which Conagra is not going out of business. Would I be long it? No. Conagra, look at the PDE. This is getting, I mean, again, this can keep going, but dividend yield 740. I am keeping an eye on this. We broke below that last key level I had on the chart, remember? This 21 area, we broke below it, retested it, and now we come down to the 75% harmonic. All right, this is getting interesting into a potential buy zone for me, but nothing with a longer term setup yet. We are getting divergences down here. We don't have earnings until October, estimated October. They missed on earnings back in July. Again, it's doubt they're going out of business. I'm going to look. I don't even have their book value here, but there is nothing yet. Would keep this on the radar screen. They have not cut their dividend again. Watching for longer term patterns. Nothing yet though. Lilly. Yeah, Lily's getting smacked. Lily's also. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching. See, the Lily is not cheap, by the way. If you look above my head, sorry that you have to look above my head. Just block your eyes so you don't have to look at my face. There you go. 63.45. This thing still. What I'm looking for is a Lily to return to the 200 area over the next bit. Okay. And this is the most recent harmonic. Yes, you can go all the way back down here, but this is the most recent move after the correction. And this is where the 62.5 is. So, and you have this consolidation zone between the 50 and 62.5. That's what I'm going to be looking for on Lilly, especially with the break below here. So key resistance. Last time it gap below here, we had a key little bounce up, but this is where I'm going to, even with a bounce, I'm going to be watching for rollover plays into this zone for Lilly. Snap. Again, Snap may be setting up for a percent B buy. Just be careful with this big a gap fill. They did have an earnings miss, and I would not go for the whole gap fill. And this would be a very aggressive play. Personally, what I'd be looking for is more of a weekly setup on Snap. Snap is not doing well. This would not be the first one I'd go to for a percent B buy because you can get a little pop into some of this key resistance and then roll over from that. You got to be very nimble on that. Hawaii is nice. Thank you for tuning in, Kalani. Hawaii is nice. And Hawaii would be a little cooler. Fragrance World. You want ETN USDT. I'm just going to do, you mind if I just do it on the US dollar? So, it's not going to make much of a difference. I don't like Tether as a cross pair. What do you got here? Well, you got things rotating up after the last little run up. First pull back in the rotation zone. And this is where Fragrance World, you can start doing this kind of stuff yourself. Here you go. What's the same thing we look at all the time? What's the same thing? We got the pullback between the 50 and 62.5. We got the rising rotation zone, and we had a little mini double bottom. Right there. Double's already played out. So if you're watching for continued moves on the other side, what do I do then? Well, if we close back below 0.022,517, would not be long it anymore. It could easily collapse back down, to this prior consolidation area. In the short term, for targets to the upside, we already hit the first key. I put my targets between the 50 and 62.5, no matter what I'm looking at. So, yeah, it's already reacted there. But if it can close back above 62.5, it's a continued long, and you see all the selling pressure above there. Other than that, it's moving up a stop. And if this loses this key low from the 5th of August, it's off the table for me. Well, I don't trade this one, but it would be off the table for me. That's the best simple analysis. I think we've all seen this. How many times people have been here longer, not just cryptos, but how many times have you seen a pattern like this? Especially on vertical up, vertical down, where you get the bounce within the 62.5, then you get the rotation up. But that's the key level it's got to get beyond. Gold it's still in long-term bull mode, and there's still fundamentals supporting it. Now, I'm not as bullish on gold. But we don't have any long-term sell setups in gold. And I would not be shorting gold either. Gold shorts are for pullbacks at this point. And gold is overextended, but I would not be shorting gold either. Good morning, Martinez. Regarding the dollar index, Christoph is still short. The Swissy US dollar is way weaker than the euro. That's thank you for pointing that out, Christoph. Gold is also in a big bubble. I wouldn't call gold a bubble. I call gold very when I say it's overextended, it's still a buy on the weekly basis. All right? Still a buy. Watch the weekly rotation zone. Now, let's take a look at the monthly. Is it overextended? Yeah. You betcha. Could we, again, let me get into this. Remember back in 20 when it got overextended. What did it do for a series of a long time? Look at the base it formed again. From 20 to 23 before it broke out. At some point, we're going to get massive consolidation or a pullback move in gold. Completely agree. Is it there yet? You got to go with the trend. The first thing I'm watching. If we start closing below the weekly rotation zone, I will be in neutral mode on gold. If we start breaking below about 3,100, I'll be more in pullback mode. Until then, I got to stick with the bullish case, and it is overextended. But I'm not shorting this sucker. You're welcome, Eric. Hey, oh, thanks for putting in there, Patrick. Thanks for going on Rumble and putting that in. All right, and Christoph, let's just go to Christoph, because Christoph always jumps in with some good stuff. Besides inviting us, well, at least me, to Germany, inviting us to Germany. We should all go over and see Christoph. We should have a field trip. And by the way, when he says this is weaker, this is on the FX market, so weaker is going up. Okay? If you're looking at the futures, it's inverse. So, it's the pair, just like the Japanese yen, US dollar, up is weaker. All right, with that, let's just peek at the S&P. Let's see what insanity it's doing. What the insanity is. We will see. We will see if it can drop below the VIX today. I wouldn't be surprised to see it drop below today. All right, and I always have to caveat this stuff, because essentially you get stuff out of the administration every day, right? If something comes out and I see a sharp reversal, will I be shorting? No. I would not be shorting. Again, I'd just be patient and watching for the pullback. But the VIX it's very complacent market. It's already shrugged off last week nearly. I mean, this was Thursday. We're below Thursday's close already. The VIX was already super depressed at near not the historic lows from back last summer, but in the range from last December. Again, hold on 1 second. There we go. I got to jump and get that in a second. But let's just peek here. Gonna just be watching this 1 hour rotation zone. This 1 hour rotation zone. We've just returned to it. Can we return deeper into it? Yeah, I'm just going to be looking for potential buy setups. Or at least this morning. For afternoons, we've been going into really big consolidation. So be careful in the afternoon. And with that, let's just see where the tick opened. All right, so we had the stronger opening above 1,000, spiking above 1,300. Going to be watching then on the tick pullback for some potential long setups. That's what I'll be looking for with that kind of gap open. For some potential long setups. And at least to retest this earlier high area. This, between 64.18 to the highs at 64.26 as the first key targets. I agree the price is most important, but why do I look at the moving averages? Because I've tested it out. The moving averages aren't magic. It's something when price closes below key moving averages, then I sit up and take notice because things could be shifting. Other than that, I watch the rotation zones. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.